Thank you for staying with us. There is still no end to the 6-month-old strike by teachers in government-owned universities. At the end of its National Executive Council meeting in Abuja, the Academic Staff Union of Universities failed to issue a statement on its resolution. But a member of the union's NEC confirmed that the strike is now indefinite. Several calls and text messages put across to the president of ASUU, Emmanuel Oshodeke, and other union leaders were not responded to. ASUU began a nationwide strike on the 14th of February this year. The union has rolled over the strike a couple of times before the latest indefinite extension of the industrial action. Government's no work, no pay policy and its non-acceptance of the union's University Transparency Accounting System, UTAS, for payment of salaries are two of the basic grievances of the university teachers. Well, joining us from our studio in Abuja is Professor Haman Tukur Saad, former Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Technology, Minna. Good morning, Professor. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning, Madam.
Now, let's get your impression of the decision by ASUU to say that this strike is now indefinite after several cycles of perhaps extending the strikes, and now they are saying it's indefinite. What do you make of it?
Well, it's very sad. It's a very sad situation for the country. And, well, I'm a member of ASUU, or I have been a member of ASUU until I retired. And following the history of our development in the universities, it seems universities don't get what they deserve until people go on strike. And this has become a way of life. If it's about every 2-3 years, ASUU has to go on strike before universities can get resources to be able to run their services. So it's very easy to heap the blame on ASUU for not opening. But you know, once you start a culture whereby the only way you can get what you are entitled to, you have to go on strike. You know, when we started as lecturers, the issue of strike for academic staff is not there. We were not laborers. We were not coal miners. We were people who had dignity. And you went to university when you are the best and when you have the interests of the country and the students at heart. No, but over the time, the system has made it difficult for university lecturers to cope up, because if you look at their salaries, their allowances, or even the conditions in the laboratories, in lecture rooms, and so on, you know, if you went to university in the 60s and 70s, you will just feel pity for this institution, and yet, you know, it takes a strike before government can ever look at these problems. On the other hand, one of the achievements of ASUU, which somehow they are not making use of, they were able to force government to sign an autonomy bill. Now, this autonomy bill actually moved a lot of the powers from government to university councils. And most of these university councils are mainly ASUU members. Government provides like six people with a chairman. The rest of the members are from inside, and they are all ASUU. So I don't know why people cannot sit down and say, all right, this is the laws of the university. Let's work according to the laws. We can look at each university. We have different laws in university in Nigeria. You know, if you look at Ibadan law, it's not the same as ABU law. Or if you look at University of Lagos. Recently, I had an encounter with them. Their law is different from the one I'm used to in ABU. So, but people believe in this collectivizing everything in the center. When people talk about restructuring in this country, they don't know this restructuring is not only at the federal level. It can happen within your own institution. For example, if you look at university laws, like ABU law I know, there is nowhere the Minister of Education is mentioned. He has no business there. And therefore, when I was a Vice Chancellor in Federal University of Technology, Mina, the three ministers I served under, we had clashes. And I told them, look, Professor Osuji, you are a professor, but what you are asking me to do or what you want to do cannot be done. My law does not allow this. And somehow we respected it. And another lady wanted to force me to do something, and she was annoyed, and she left the meeting, and so on. People don't realize how powerful universities are. They go and surrender to government. Instead of sitting down and sorting out their internal problems, whether it's financial or whether it's administrative, and so on. Because even issues of corruption people talk about. Sometimes government puts money and government accuses universities of corruption. And some of these things actually have a basis. Like, for example, I was in a university where government gave us money, DTLC. This is direct laboratory and the consumables. And after also a struggle for it, that when money comes, it goes to the Senate building and is dissipated. It doesn't reach the department. So ASUU struggled, and government said, okay, we will have a subhead in your budget, DTLC, which is dependent on the number of students you have, or the courses, and so on and so forth. And this one should go directly to departments. I was in one university. I was paying my heads of department huge amount of money. I remember Department of Electronic and Computer Engineering, every quarter they were taking 800,000 to run their services. Then I came back to my former university. I found out that head of department, they said they give him 80,000 sometimes in a quarter, 80,000. You know, I said, what happened to DTLC? He said, no, government is not paying DTLC. I called back in my university. I said, I left for some time. Please, are they paying this DTLC? He said, yes, they give us DTLC, but not like when you were there. So you can see this kind of thing. And ASUU is always ready to confront government. They do not clean up the problem on the campus. And they don't want to face issues of money. And there's one issue where I don't agree with ASUU. That is insisting that users should not contribute to the education of their children, parents. I mean, the education of your children at high level or even every level should be a concern. It should be a responsibility. But for an organization or government to pretend that they can carry all the load, I think they are not realistic.
Yes, Prof.
And ASUU also insists that there should be no charges, there should be no fees, even if you explain to them how this thing can be done. The children of the poor people, for example, well, they cannot afford, if I say take just 200,000 per annum, that's less than what they pay in secondary school.
Some people have said, Prof.
It's difficult for
Prof,
the son of a farmer. But,
hello?
But there is a provision
Prof.
for education bank. It used to exist. Go to the bank, take this money, pass it to the Vice Chancellor, let him run his services. When you finish, go and work, and they will deduct it. It may take a long time. For example, President Obama did not finish paying his student
Prof, can you
loan
hear us?
until he was
Hello?
president. That is how some countries move forward. You cannot move forward without taxes
All
or
right.
without contribution from parents.
All right,
If
Prof,
the government
can you
can
hear
afford,
us?
let him pay.
Prof, can you hear us?
Yes?
All right.
Okay, Prof.
I hear you.
Yes, I was trying to find out from you. You made a very interesting claim here that the universities are acting like children in feeding bottle, and when they're supposed to act like adults and take care of the universities and come up with ideas. What are the terms of the autonomy given to the universities that they can use to actually take care of themselves?
Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead,
If
sir.
you look at the laws, of the university, they list sources of income. Number one is subvention from government. Number two, fees and charges. Number three, businesses and so on and so forth. This thing go on and on to tell you how you can make money. And these laws have not been abrogated, But governments, in their own wisdom, I remember President Obasanjo called all the vice chancellors. He said, Mr. President, can we not charge small money so that this problem will go? He said, no, over my dead body. Not that I'm the president. So politicians, for political reasons, are afraid of imposing charges. And most countries, the countries that have free education at higher level, like people want to quote the Scandinavian countries, do you know the amount of taxes they pay? Some people say over 60%, some of them pay over 60% of their income to be able to afford those facilities. How many people pay tax in Nigeria? Only those of us who are working for government. The rich people sometimes pay community tax. So it's not possible for us to heap all the load on government. And secondly, the problem of relying on government is that when you are getting something for free, now you have students that are in the university for a 5-year course, they will spend 8 years or more because it doesn't cost them anything. Two, of course, they themselves cause crisis and universities are closed. ASUU goes on crisis. And so on. So if you send your son to a university in Nigeria, you just pray he will finish on time. I gave an example some time ago. We had arrangement with 8 universities in America for bilateral arrangement whereby some of their lecturers will come to us. We too will send our lecturers. Some of our students will go on the intern and all this kind of thing. But by the time we came to the crucial matter, say, all right, how about your program, timetable, your calendar? We don't have calendar in Nigerian universities. In the 70s, we had calendar. I know by May, June, exams are finished. Then I will go for 3 months of holiday, and then come back September, October. So you don't have this now. You cannot face an international university and say, let's have bilateral arrangement, because you don't know when SANU, ASUU, NASU, and students will close the system. And the bottom line is money. It's not good to quote my own example. I realized this when I was the Vice Chancellor in Federal University of Technology, Mina. I found, look, I need to take 5 million to 8 million naira every month to pay salaries. Now, I said, all right, what do we do? Because they say they have an envelope, and the government gives you this envelope, go and do what you want. or go and sort it out with your council. This envelope is not even enough to pay your salaries. So as a headmaster, I said, look, who are the beneficiaries of this education? They are the students and the parents. You know, when a country has developed to a stage like we are now, the benefit of higher education goes to parents and children. When we, immediately after independence, the benefit of higher education went to the society at large. We wanted to replace white people, we wanted to replace foreigners, we wanted to have a good civil service, and so on. But now, whoever gets his certificate is either checking out to another country to go and work for better pay. So people should understand that they have to contribute to the education of their children. And that is the only legacy you can leave for your children, educated children. You can have so many houses in Abuja, but at the end of the day, if the children don't have good education, they'll be selling them one by one and taking all kinds of drugs. So we and our students, somehow along the line, we agreed, let's have some charges, because we wanted to move from one campus where a facility that was meant for 2,500 people was now catering for 15,000 students. So it's so choked. And we have another campus which was started, could not be completed. So we agreed with the students, we have to move. We have to collect money and we have to move. This government will not give us money because they have a formula. Third generation university, 200 million. Second generation, 300. Fourth generation, 450. So we are third generation. We cannot get money to move. So let's collect money from our parents and so on. And people think that ASUU or students are unreasonable. If you discuss with them, they are very reasonable people, as a vice chancellor and as a council. But the only problem is they want to discuss with government. And VCs want them to go and discuss with government. So, you know, people feel big. You know, I had a colleague who was a vice chancellor of a state university, and he became the chairman of ASUU. I said, what the hell? What has state university got to do with ASUU? How? How? Because the law establishing state universities is made by state assemblies. And you can find some of the laws which says, I read some of the laws, which says the governor can appoint and remove vice chancellor, all the principal officers, and so on. You know, so these are the laws that are in the state university. The commissioner of education is in charge. So how do you lump all these different institutions together simply because ASUU likes to take the check off, the check off money from these universities? You can hear recently somebody is accusing chairman of ASUU of insulting state universities. He has no business insulting them. It is the greed of ASUU that brought them in, so that they take money. I don't know what they do with my money. Sometimes I used to pay up to 12,000 naira per month. I don't know what they do with it, other to make. So even that is an issue that government can take them on. But I think,
Professor,
by and large, the two sides.
Professor, let me put you on hold a little bit.
The two sides must agree.
Interrupt you a little bit. It's quite interesting how you're taking us on this journey. But let me ask, there has been meetings upon meetings between the federal government and ASUU. From your own observation, why is it so challenging for both sides to come to an agreement?
In the first place, if I'm a Minister of Education, I will have no business negotiating with ASUU, no Ministry of Labor. If you look at the university laws, even before the so-called autonomy bill, universities were set up to be independent of government. We were the employees, and we are the employees of our councils, and we are not part of the civil service. That is why when ASUU said we should not be we should not be on IPPIS, ASUU is right, because we are not civil servants. But on the other hand, ASUU itself wants to collectivize everything and be able to talk to government. They want to bring in NLC. They want to bring in everybody. The attitude is, let's close down this system. No, it's not true. If you go to university, you must be interested in the children, in progress, in research, not in closing down the system. So you have to sit down internally and see how can we move this system forward. And that is what vice chancellors and councils must do. Not everybody sit down and say, okay, go and discuss with government. Well, they have started it, and that is a bit, one cannot say it's their fault. One government agreed that they were going to sign agreement with ASUU. Even at that time, I said, this is wrong. How do you, government, when you are not my employer, you are going to sign agreement with me? And this thing has never been tested in court. You know, if councils are allowed, and they are allowed to run their universities, to take charges and make sure that everything is going on, you know, and the ASUU members too, they are not unreasonable people. They are not. You know, they have the interest of the university. Some of their colleagues are outside there making money, but they are here. Some of them are committed. Some of them are interested in their subjects and so on. And therefore, a vice chancellor and his council should be able to sit down and say, what does the law allow us to do? If government comes and say, no, you can't do that, it's all right, government, give us the money. Because I told you, when I had to charge students, I said, no. President Obasanjo has finished his work. He has written a letter saying, look, Professor Tukur Saad, you are now the Vice Chancellor of University of Technology, Minna. I say I will never go back to Obasanjo for anything. So I will work within the law and within my council. And I'm not bragging. Within 5 years, we transformed the place. Abandoned projects, we collected money. We made from students. Students are very understanding. And even ASUU, you know, I don't know whether some people are not lucky. I had a very understanding ASUU chairman. I still remember his name, Professor Nsofo. When they are making noise about, Nsofo said, look, this man is just coming from ABU. Let's give him a chance. Let's see what he wants to do. So this is what saved me, because the day I landed, they said they don't want any vice chancellor from outside, you know, and therefore my appointment was not good and so on. He said, look, gentlemen, this guy is coming from ABU, an older university. We may learn something from them. And he said, all right, give him all the support. So I had the support of Nsofo and Mujid and all the ASUU members, even when there is a strike. Sometimes we ask for excuse. Look, this university had been closed over the period for 2 years. We have lost 2 sessions. So why can't you allow us to do some work? Then ASUU will say, all right, Mina, you can go ahead, but don't make noise about it. So, this, you know, government has this attitude that these ASUU people, they are a nuisance. No. It's government, there's a lot of ignorance in government. You know, no minister will tell you that he is going by the laws. Unfortunately, I had the fortune of discussion with the current Minister of Education over a different issue. I told the minister, don't you know that what you are doing is not within your powers? He said, yeah. You know, he was very frank. He said, yes, but this, over the years, this is what has been happening. Minister of Education takes over powers that are not his. You know, he can even appoint a visitation panel without consulting the chancellor. And I was sent to Lagos to go and be a chairman of visitation. And I realized I was doing an illegal thing. The chancellor didn't know, you know. And so they just wrote a circular. So this kind of thing, you know, ASUU itself, they don't read their laws. They don't do university laws. They are just talking in the paradigms of the 1960s and 70s, the Marxist, communist Marxist jargons. This is not enough. The world has moved beyond that. You know, people should realize that we should work and get this system working. And the less we collectivize, the better. You know, for example, if you look at certain countries like China, you think all the power is in Beijing. No way. You find provincial governors, mayors, and so on, were the people that was driving China to development. And it was approved by Tycoon. But here we sit down, every bit, I want chalk, I have to talk to federal government. I want laboratory equipment, I have to talk to federal government. Yes, all right. Federal government has a responsibility having established these universities, but there is a limit to how far, because some other people have to play their own role, especially parents. I've shown an insult in one of these directives that some parents say they should contribute 10,000 naira to universities per student. Can you understand the kind of rubbish? 10,000 naira, you know, not 200,000, not 500,000, 10,000 naira, so that this crisis will come. No. Parents are not serious. You cannot take your child, you hand it over to a system that is about to be grounded as a lack of funds.
All right, Professor.
All right, and all of us.
Professor,
let's
can
get
you hear me?
10,000 naira.
Professor, can you hear me? Perhaps the parents are also considering the minimum wage, so to speak. That is what they can afford from what the government has offered them. But that aside, how does ASUU perhaps purify its strategies and language in terms of negotiations? And how do we also correct the illegalities that you have mentioned?
Madam, I'm not hearing.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now, Professor?
Yes.
Right. I said with...
I can see your lips are moving.
All right. If you can hear me, because I'm actually shouting now. I was saying that how does ASUU correct or purify its strategies, and also how do we correct the illegalities that you have mentioned to address this matter and save the educational system?
Yeah. Yes. No. Yeah. All right, madam. I got the gist of it. I got the gist of what you are saying, even though I didn't hear most of it. How can we correct this? You see, that's why I say, when you have a crisis, you know, like this, it's an opportunity for you to sort out fundamental problems. You know, I like quoting the Chinese. Crisis in Chinese is represented by two characters, Wu Jing, Wu stands for danger, and Jing stands for opportunities. So when the Chinese is faced with a crisis, the characters that represent crisis tell him, look, you are now in danger, but there is opportunity to come out of that. If we are going to close a university for 6 months, and at the end of the year, of the day, all we do is give these people 60,000 naira, 70,000 naira, and let them go back to school. No, they are just going back to regroup because many of the fundamental issues have not been addressed. So let them understand they are serious stakeholders. They are, in fact, ASUU, by and large, they are the council, you know. They are the council because, if you look at, I went to University of Lagos as a visitor, and the Vice Chancellor and 3 Deputy Vice Chancellors are on the council. 4 people are from Senate, 2 people are from congregation. Government has only 6 members in that council. So they are all ASUU members. And instead of saying, all right, this responsibility that we have got and forced out of privileges must go with the responsibility. Let's see how we can use our laws and get this system moving. You know? Yes, there's a lot of money we see in newspapers. Somebody has taken 8 billion, 6 billion. If you are looking at this, you are not concentrating on your work. You are not going anywhere. You cannot stop those criminals from stealing money, but do your own bit, collect some charges, you know, but unless we restructure that is, people should understand they are running an autonomous university. If I am the Vice Chancellor of the University of Lagos, I will pay some professors 3 million per month. Because, you know, somebody, you also you go and negotiate that this is the allowances for accommodation. How about the one in Gashua? One in Gashua where they are begging him to come and take a house. In Lagos, you pay them the same allowances. And all this kind of, or a professor in artificial intelligence, who is a global commodity, you say, yeah, it's going to pay him 400 or 450,000 like you used to pay me or somebody else. It doesn't work. We are running a capitalist system. And universities, all over, they rate people, they value people, they sometimes negotiate for salaries. If I want to bring Professor X to raise the profile of my department, how much am I going to pay him? You have to pay him very high. It doesn't matter. I used to tell people, look, I was in a university where one of my professors was highly rated. He was taking $140,000. Another one was teaching us art history. This is a pleasure kind of thing. And she was taking $24,000 per annum. And both of them are professors. And both of them like their work. So, you know, but here, ASUU insists that there's one salary for everybody in the whole country, one allowance, one this, because there's a military mentality. You know, this council should be able to work out modalities. How do we attract people of substance so that we can move forward? That's why a lot of our academics in Nigeria who have made name overseas, they don't stay. You know, some of us are too old to go back. But, you know, by the time we finished PhD, they were shocked. Only Nigerian students would finish PhD in the early 80s and 70s and go back home. The rest of them remain in America, the Iranians and the South Americans, Japanese, and so on. We were the only ones that were proud of our country. The salaries were okay. And we immediately you finish your dissertation and we present, you have already booked a flight. This is the country which has now become, you know, something else. Nigeria is feeding the world with the best brains. They are feeding the world with the best brain. Even under these circumstances, when we send our students to for postgraduate work, you know, after settling down, they excel. They excel. We are some of the most talented people in this world. Whether we use the talent correctly or not is something else.
All right, Professor.
Because
Professor, we're wrapping up now, yes. But let me ask you this before we leave. From the revelations you have brought forth and spoken to us about, would you say that ASUU is still relevant in the education sector, in the education system?
I haven't got the question well.
Yeah, the question I'm asking is, from your observation, is ASUU as an association still relevant in the education system?
Yeah, ASUU is relevant in the sense unless we change the mode of operation, you know, because historically, for the last 20, 30 years, anything that the university system gets, they get it out of an ASUU strike. So unless we look back and say, look, how can we stop this open, close, ASUU will continue to be relevant, you know, but collectivizing the whole ASUU, taking state universities, even looking for private universities so that you can ground the system, that's not the attitude ASUU should take. You know, ASUU, for example, ASUU takes, when I give my own dues, ASUU, the local branch, will take 40%. Then the national branch will take 60%. I wonder what did they do 60% of my checkoff, you know? So you know that it's centralized, it's a powerful organization. We want to ground the system. No, that's not the attitude. You know, that's not the attitude to get us moving.
Yes.
You know, have you had, for example, take Ghana. Have you had them going on strike for a long time? There was a time their university was like ours, open, close, open, close. But at one time, I think it was during Rollins, they reached an agreement. The salary of a university lecturer and his privileges should be, a professor should be equivalent to that of a high court judge.
All right.
So the university, they let the high court judges work for them.
Okay.
And they followed the judicial listing. Who should take the salary of a magistrate
Prof, we need to end the conversation now, Prof. We need to end the conversation now because we've run out of time. But we must thank you, former Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Technology, Mina, Professor Haman Tuku Saad, for your time on the program.
Thank you very much, sir.